Coming from the side of Roccat is Bard and Malzahar. Not a big surprise. Of course, we want to get that off the table. I don't want to see Betsy or PowerOfEvil play that though, but not today.
No, not today. And of course, thanks to the coaches for the last time, actually, for Coaches Week, the draft breakdown, where you guys are going to be helping us through the picks and bans.
Carrying us?
Carrying us. Jungle priority on the second wave of bans. Leaves Rek'Sai still available. Elise?
Oh, Karma should be the priority, I hope, for Roccat.
Yep, absolutely.
Karma, to me, I think, kind of secures you. If you have the better AD carry matchup in bot lane, kind of secures you the bot lane matchup in general.
Yep.
Now we'll see what they decide to go for, as well as the last ban coming out of Origen as well. Just track back to what they banned in Game 1.
Origen in Game 1, Caitlyn, Malzahar, Nidalee. Yep. So it's that Caitlyn ban that if they do go with it again, Steelback is used time and time again.
Yep,
there it is. So in standard world, would it be Karma coming out here, you think? But it's Roccat, so you're blind picking Vlad. 0-5 for him. Another opportunity. Your reaction, Yamato, says it all.
Come on.
How can you explain this? And how can you explain this from the side of Grab as well?
We banned the Azir, the counter pick to Vladimir. Let's lock it in now, boys.
Yeah, but as a coach then, Grabs is supposed to
No, it's. I think this is Roccat being 3 weeks behind. Really. I just remember the Echo blind pick as well, 3 weeks later, and I think it's horrendous.
Do you still think the Victor now into Vlad, you can just kind of pick that as a wave clear, avoid a lot of what Vlad has to offer until the late game?
Yeah, when I saw the Azir ban, I was actually thinking that Victor might become very contested between these two until the Sun and Vladimir lock in. And I don't know what OG is going to pick, but I'm going to expect Karma Rek'Sai. It's probably the best rotation here.
So Karma Rek'Sai would be the best rotation.
Toaster's Jhin is open.
Jhin has made it through. We're finally seeing Toaster on that. 4th game now for him in the LCS. We'll get his eyes on that. It's neither the flexible real pick for the mid lane of the Karma or the jungle coming out here, but potentially a sOAZ Trundle again.
It's like you could argue that this is a fine rotation because Sivir is the best AD carry into Jhin, and picking Trundle up as a flex is also good into that, but I would still opt in to get the Karma anytime over this.
They blind pick Jhin. They're going to play against the Sivir, and they're going to have a really hard time, I think.
It's just that the Trundle is picked as well, and I think that kind of balances out the matchup.
Fair point.
And there must be some kind of trust there in Toaster saying, hey, I really want this as a comfort pick, and I'm sure that I can perform regardless.
It's been banned 3 times.
Yep,
it's a fair point, Joey, but you weren't with us for the draft last game. That's exactly what Yamato and I were saying was, well, Civ is there, they've already got the Trundle to deal with it, and all of a sudden a Braum comes out, Trundle goes to the top lane, and we're like, well, Origen had it in their grasp to maybe do that, and Janna has come out. We saw Janna earlier, I
what
believe.
The hell?
Yeah, it lost.
We saw that from Vitality, I believe it was, earlier today.
So Karma's still open.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
They're trying to play around that, you know?
Karma into Janna is still a great matchup. You know, I think the biggest difference between this time around with Sivir in the mix, last game Jhin was not in the mix.
Yep.
The biggest interaction we have with AD carries and why Sivir has been important is because of Jhin.
All right, we'll see what happens. Janna, though, picked up by Roccat there for Raze, and I'm seeing what OG will go for and what they decide to go for in this one.
I mean, the dictate would be the Victor if we're looking for a matchup that he's played before, but it's going to be the first time Cassiopeia coming out. Yeah, we've heard it time and time again from people that Cassiopeia initially was thought to be a very good matchup into the Vladimir. Not a lot of people had a lot of success, though.
It's like, you know, previously I think, you know, I personally experimented with a lot of counter picks into Vlad. We tried the Nivea, Cassiopeia. It works to some degree, but at that point in time, Vladimir was just flat out broken.
Yeah.
At this point in time, you know, the champions that were considered counters in the Vladimir after the nerf are actually considered, you know, real counters now, because, you know, Vladimir just reached a point where he bases once, gets a Spectre Scowl, and yeah, you lost the game.
So I got a question for you, Joey, right now. Looking at this draft from Roccat, they've finished up with a Sivir and a Shen. How do you get fights started effectively without an Elise Cocoon landing with this lineup that Roccat have got?
I think it's going to be difficult for them, but they might just opt for a 1-3-1, in which case you don't need to look for fights. You can just consistently push out the side waves and then collapse on the mid lane if the opportunity ever arises. So I really like the Sivir pick here. They will be able to continuously push in the Jhin, which is what Sivir does best.
I think the one dangerous thing, though, is the fact that they pick the Shen. Trundle can go up there and do very, very fine into him. And Trundle, of course, even from the top lane, does well into Sivir later on in the game. They can pick a very, very strong support in this case and have 3 winning matchups all across the board, except jungle.
does Alistair attribute to a very, very strong support in this circumstance? Because he's not fit into the meta particularly well. That Karma is still there. Ah, okay. Braum comes as the last
hybrid pick. MVP of the week, 4 games on Braum.
Well, if ever there was a pick that he's known for, Youngbuck, you'll have reaped the successes of his Braum last split, and now obviously Rocket are going to have to go up against that. Janna should be fairly safe with Sivir, but you're never really going to be able to actually take it to them too much in a laning phase, you would have to think. No,
despite Hybrid being a fantastic Braum player, we used to pick Janna into the Braum when other people were playing Braum against us, so I think if we get a 2v2 here for the Sivir Janna, it might be a good match for Rocket. Yeah, the problem is also the fact that Sivir Janna in a lane swap situation just push towers so much faster than a Jhin and Braum will ever do. So I think once again they should have picked a range support like Karma or Nami, but it might be just a question of comfort.
So, quick prediction then, first final game now that we have the draft.
OG win.
OG win 2-0 would be very good for them.
I will go OG win, but not because of the draft.
Not because of the draft, just because they're better stressed.
Yeah, I echo the sentiment.
All right, there we go. Now that the game is just about to get underway, we see the coaches. Let's hand it over to our casters.
Thank you so much, guys, and thank you very much for that breakdown there. And we're still here, ready to cast this game. Still looking for that 2-0, very important, like they were saying on the analyst desk. Going 1-1 here is basically a loss for both teams because they really need those points right now as we head into this final game.
Yep, so, ladies and gentlemen, it will be either Rocket or Origen, so send in your hashtags at lolesports.com with the hashtag ROCWin or hashtag OGWin. You can hear that the crowd is pretty hyped for this final game. And even though it is a bottom of the standings battle, it doesn't dissuade the Origen and Rocket fans that have come out in force this evening.
Absolutely. Matters a lot. These points really matter to the teams. And you can see that thunder stick right there. I'm sure lots of people in the crowd have them as well.
You're a thunder stick.
I'm a Are you? Then we could... Yeah, that would get weird. Anyway, so...
Calm down, balls.
Origen heading out of the base here. Actually all grouped up going into the bottom side, so maybe looking for an invade here. Hybrid leading. Raze and Steelback haven't seen them just yet. Where are they? Being very sneaky. Oh, there they are. Raze immediately. That's the flash away after the tornado.
Defensive flash coming out from Raze. Very aware of the fact that Hybrid could land that Q. Followed quickly up by the rest of Origen. Could result in a swift death. However, that will not be the case. Instead, Raze is just going to have to sacrifice the summoner spell, which, excuse me, for a Janna early on, isn't the end of the world. But it does look like that, as we heard from G2 coach Joey on the desk. Origen don't necessarily want to go into the 2 versus 2 matchup simply because the Sivir Janna can be quite a difficult thing to match up against for the Jhin Braum, largely due to the pushing potential that Sivir has with the empowered, the extra damage that you get from the shield as well. Range support into melee support always has that advantage. So they're just going to go for the standard 2v2. This will, the standard lane swap, which will mean that Rocket will have a slight tempo advantage simply due to the nature of the champions that they have. But overall, it will be better for Origen to win the lane.
Yeah, we'll definitely take a Sivir over a Jhin any day when it comes to pushing. Toaster just taking away one of these creeps here with Hybrid as they go in for that invade, and that means that Rocket will go down. So Toaster, did he actually sacrifice anything from that as he heads into top lane?
I do not believe... He probably will have lost a...
Lost the melee minions.
Yeah, he would have lost the minion. Wondering whether or not that was actually worth it. Looks like that Amazing has secured himself the blue, but 3-man collapse from Rocket.
Amazing gets exhausted, he'll flash away. sOAZ, who's trying to help him, is now on the receiving end of Parang and Raze. But he'll be able to get away. He actually walks back in, Tornado, but Parang doesn't really want the fight right now. Mid laners were thinking about coming down, but Betsy's going to be stopped by PowerOfEvil.
So it looks like Amazing is going to be able to get himself a 3-buff start because they started on their blue. Toaster also stealing away the small camp on the blue. Interesting strat, perhaps they wanted to try and take the blue away to try and just deny as much as they could from Rocket, but either way, still not a bad play overall from Origen. Yes, the flash is down for Amazing, which means that he has to be a little bit more cautious when trying to force ganks. Just in the event of a potential turnaround coming up from the side of Rocket. But as you can see, they are beating down onto this turret very, very quickly. The wave clear from Steelback, as well as the extra AD you get from the shields, is making it ever so slightly faster. But I imagine it's not going to result in any serious gain in the early game.
Probably not. I do want to get your 2 cents though here, Vedius, because we didn't get a chance to talk about the compositions, and I think mid-game is really when we're going to see them kind of come into their own, because right now they're just lane swapping. So, Anastasia was saying Rocket may be looking for that 1-3-1. Thoughts?
Thoughts? Yeah, I agree. No, but to expand
let's
about
move on
that,
now.
yeah, to expand on that a little bit more, I think that what Origen could struggle to deal with is this Vladimir or Shen in the side lane. Typically what you'd want is very similar to game 1 where you have the Vladimir going up against the Trundle, because they won't really ever kill each other.
Yeah.
Whereas if you put a Trundle up against a Shen, he could steal all your stats. Then you have to be a little bit more careful, because the Trundle has a little bit more kill pressure, especially if he goes to Tiamat build like he did in game 1. But still, the question is then, how do you deal with the other side lanes? You know, the Cassio, sure, you can go there, but she's not going to be able to quickly join the rest of the fight. Same for Jin and the Braum. Yes, their disengage is pretty good, but when you have this Sivir running at you, it's going to be difficult to avoid that collapse, especially when you have this potential TP flank coming in from Rocket. So the 1-3-1 is a good strategy for Rocket against the composition from Origen, but Origen's team fighting is actually very good, especially their ability to take turrets simply because the combo. But have a look at Origen. Amazing, just hanging out by the side, trying to clear out some of the waves. If you had an extra bit of damage, that means the minion waves are going to die faster, which will delay a little bit, but with the minion wave coming in, it's not going to hurt Rocket too much. But coming back to the point of Origen, the combo of Cassio and Jin is actually really cool, because you throw down the miasma, then the enemy team is either forced to walk into it, or they get hit by it, they can't dash out, which leads into a free Jin W, and then you have Gragas, who can just quickly follow up with the ultimate, you get a pick, easy turret. So actually setting up for turrets is really good from Origen, and the same for setting up around objectives. So they have a pretty good team fight composition, main DPS of PowerOfEvil on the front, good pick potential from Toaster on the back, but as we already mentioned, Rocket, they're going to do their best to avoid that at all costs.
Sure. It's good to see that Origen also have tools as well to try and close out the game. That's what I liked about the composition last time that we saw last game, where they had the Ashe to go for those engages. Ultimately, it didn't necessarily come down to that. It was both teams just fighting at any opportunity, and Origen getting ahead, Rocket making some missteps. But this time, of course, as you mentioned, Miasma into Deadly Flourish, great siege potential. So once they do get ahead, if they get ahead, if and when, we'll be able to step up and make something happen, rather than just looking for late game and trying to stall it out as long as possible. So.
Yep. And late game, I'd even be hesitant to give the edge over to Origen. I mean, Cassio very scary in the late game. You can definitely not take that away from her, but Vlad is the same thing. Very tanky. Once he gets the Rylai's, his ability to stick to the backline becomes all the more powerful. And then as well, the Shen, the ultimate, so valuable in the late game team fights. The amount of damage that he can mitigate is ridiculous. Janna as well, you can't forget how well she scales as the game progresses. So I'd be very careful if Origen do result in a very, very late game. But still, hopefully Origen looking to replicate what they did in game 1, where they get themselves an early lead and can quickly snowball it.
Yeah. And Rocket, after this lane swap, will go for this Ocean Dragon, so they'll get the first one of the game, just due to the nature of the lane swap. So, capitalization from them. There we go. So, next one's going to be the Cloud Dragon. So, not sure if the teams are going to be super hyped over going for that one as soon as they can. sOAZ is in this lane. Push still goes on. Memento, he's in very deep. Has to flash away from Hybrid. He's a little too far to try and get those Merkwolves.
Wanted to get the smite down, but due to the presence of Hybrid and Amazing, he quickly realizes that he has to disengage. But sending Toaster up to the top half of the map, remember he has no teleport. There is no way for him to join in if Rocket try to force something. Whereas Parang, he can very quickly join the rest of his team. This is resulting in Rocket having the strong side of the map in the bottom half, means they can quickly take this blue. Oh, but Amazing, good smite to secure that for his team. And now he's going aggressive on a Memento.
Ultimate comes up, nice timing on the repel, but unfortunately he's still there. Tag, you're it. Gets the concussive blows, gets the first blood. PowerOfEvil will be receiving that one. Raze still being followed after, and with the miasma on top of him, he can't flash away, he can't get away. Double kill for the Cassiopeia.
And very good start for Origen once again. Getting a double kill onto the Cassio is exactly who you want those kills to be going on to, but it looks like Origen, they're not done yet.
Amazing coming in here behind Betsy. Gonna have to pull down, but the miasma coming up first, knocking him into the miasma once again. Hybrid following after. PowerOfEvil, a third kill in 2 minutes.
Unbelievable from Origen. Honestly, that couldn't have gone any better for the Casio. We're going to see once again Roccat being a little bit too aggressive. They think that they can continue the aggression. They try to disengage. And then Origen realize, hey, we have PowerOfEvil rotating down. Still very early on into the game. Memento has no mana. There's no way they can turn this fight around. So let's just go for the chase. They get themselves the first kill. Good miasma from PowerOfEvil to deny any sort of escape potential. Even though Raze had no flash, he just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, if he had another one in his back pocket.
Hey, you get that proto belt away from him. But still, triple kill for PowerOfEvil, 8 minutes into the game.
But
already got the Rod of Ages at, oh my god.
Oh, 9-minute Rod of Ages, that's actually disgusting. There was a good miasma in the mid lane though, onto Betsy.
Yeah, that was, and when he got knocked back
with the body slam
yeah.
for amazing, beautiful play. Because Betsy still had a splash as well, he just couldn't use it. And by the time he went into Sanguine Pool, it was already too low, so there was no point using it there.
And Paul, so you and I have done a bunch of tests on the Casio PW.
We have, yes.
Fun facts for the ladies and gentlemen at home. You can interrupt a Twisted Fate ult if you throw a miasma onto them during the cast. Same for TP.
Yeah.
So that could be one option for sending PowerOfEvil into the side lane. If you can deny Betsy from actually joining your active team using that miasma, then that could stop the 1-3-1 from happening.
Exactly. Alternatively, you could just ult him.
Toaster.
Hits 2, hits number 3, number 4. Past the Sanguine Pool. That would have actually killed him.
Yeah, that would have, yeah.
Connected. And that flew right over the Sanguine Pool as well. So,
look at sOAZ potentially coming in for a flank. Amazing too. They do have their ults.
Amazing coming in. Betsy, I don't think he has the pull just yet. Has to flash over the wall. The good Swippy swap will not get the kill.
The Swippy swap? Is that what that's called?
Yeah. Well, yeah, Amazing jumps over the wall and Betsy swap places with him. However, Amazing took like 4 tower shots, so that was quite inefficient. Still, OG pushing down the mid lane. Memento and Raze coming in there to zone them away. And sOAZ, good zoning pillar.
Well, the good Scooby-Doo there from Origen. Getting out of, yeah, when you get the collapse from 2 members, when you get the flank from 2 members of Roccat, the pillar interrupts. That specific play is called a Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo. All right, put that one, pointing it right here.
Well, and here we are right now. Roccat setting up for the jib and jab. 4 members strong in the mid. Hybrid takes a bit of poke.
The hokey pokey.
Whoa, now that's already copyrighted.
Oh.
You can't claim that one.
Does someone have copyright on hokey pokey?
Get your up-to-date knowledge on the whole Swim Swam strategy book, all right?
Swim Swam. What is the Swim Swam? Can you define that?
Well, you got the Swippity Swappity there.
Yeah. Well, we know what that is.
And I'll tell you what. So when you set up for a Baron, and you have the numbers advantage, but you lose the Baron, so it gets stolen away from you.
A Dignitas Baron.
Yeah, a Dignitas Baron. That's actually called, right? That's actually called an oops, I did it again. By Britney Spears.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, honestly. I think we should swiftly move on topic. So, yeah, actually not.
Why are you being so toxic?
Oh, man. I do not want to go down this rabbit hole. Even worse than the toaster puns. Who's this going to go over to? sOAZ most likely, of course.
Yes.
For this split push.
Call, the 1-3-1 has begun. Well, actually, the 1-1-1.
1-1-3.
Right now, Raze is just trying to get a bit of vision around to witness the Rift Herald fall.
Oh.
Ooh, Shen ult.
On Betsy. Unfortunately, there's no one in range. That's where you're Shen and you're yelling at the person you're TPing to. Get in range! But there was no one there.
Ah, the classic Shen not quite working out for Roccat. Fortunately, didn't quite able to get the capitalize because sOAZ was forced to use his flash. Meanwhile, in the side lanes, we do see PowerOfEvil has been relegated to farm duty. I don't think he's going to be too upset about it, though, because as you can see, he has mounted himself quite the significant advantage. But Steelback, he is doing the same on the other side of the map, while Toaster is being left to the mid lane. So I think that when he replaced Peke, he didn't realize that he would actually become the next mid laner for Origen rather than the AD carry. And that's why he's now in his rightful lane.
I mean, it is the cycle of life, right? You start off as the mid laner, and then you go to ADC. So he's going through the initial tasks, initial trials from OG. Yep. And he'll be a fully qualified ADC by the end of the week.
No time at all.
Yeah. Roccat taking the top tower. I mean, there's nothing that sOAZ can do, so I think we're just going to see a classic tower Swippity swap.
No, mate. This isn't the Swippity swap.
Oh, no. They haven't swapped positions, you're right.
This is the Tupi Loopy. But have a look at this. Hybrid lands the... Oh, the flank from Amazing.
Oh, two-man Hemo Plague. Amazing coming in from behind. Knocks Betsy into the team. He still had Pool. He's going to be floating around the tower. Parang caught in the Miasma and the Petrifying Gaze. PowerOfEvil with a constant DPS will flash after. Chasing down Parang. First goal picked up. Betsy, nowhere to go. Has to go upward. Deadly Flourish keeps him inside the Death Pit. That's a double kill for PowerOfEvil. But meanwhile, in topside, Rocket just casually taking an inhib.
Wow, they've just broken into the base of Origen. There was nothing that sOAZ could do to stop that push, and Rocket very decisively making up for the fact that they lose 2 members in the bottom half of the map. Hey, they don't need the double TP play to come in when they can just have the 3-member pushing power of Steelback to take that inhib. But before we get to that, let's have a look at this play. The flank for Amazing into the knockup. They couldn't quite get the 2 extra orders onto Betsy to lock him in, but it doesn't matter because a really nice ultimate for PowerOfEvil prevents any real follow-up from Parang. He's then immediately forced to disengage, and then because both Toaster and PowerOfEvil staying behind their front line, they have nothing to worry about, and PowerOfEvil going to extend his kills now to 5-0. But I mean, wow, Rocket picking themselves up an inhibitor. We'll have to see what they can do off the back of that.
I mean, it looked like a good dive from Origen.
Yeah.
Like, taking 2 kills, taking a tower, perfect. But, yeah, Rocket just carried on pushing, and sOAZ was just stuck at top lane being like, guys, I kind of need someone to help me. I mean, this will mean that top lane's always going to push into Origen, so sOAZ will be able to soak up a lot of this experience and farm. And we're at the stage where Rocket maybe can't completely capitalize on that inhibitor going down. Plus, it was also near the top, so it's not like they can pressure Baron from it. So I do wonder how that will affect the game now, because actually a couple times we've seen both teams like kind of trade inhib towers and not go for the inhibitor itself because they don't want the lane to continuously push over.
What it means, Pulse, is sOAZ will never leave top lane, ever. Because he now has to deal with the constant super minions that are pushing into him. He's also got to trade with Parang. If he teleports, OG are in some serious risk of losing potentially one of their Nexus turrets. And Rocket can use this to their advantage. They can force fights. Unfortunately for them, the Dragon has gone down. Baron is not available. There's no Rift Herald. So for the time being, getting an inhibitor that early, sure, great. You have more pressure all over the map. But there's no real way for them to take advantage of it as of yet.
sOAZ pretty happy actually just to stay in the side lane. That's what we wanted from him in game 1. So now he's forced to do that. And yeah, when he trades against Shen, he's going to steal all of those resistances, so it's not going to be too bad. Parang gets the upper hand. I mean, Shen early mid-game still does a lot of damage with Twilight Assault. And also the super minion you don't want to be trading into from sOAZ. But yeah, just constant pushing. So he'll sit in base, receive all the farm, be pretty happy. Betsy over the wall. He has the Shen ultimate on top of him. Amazing potentially caught out, but Betsy, he's going to drop him into the bottom side, and Amazing over the wall. So yeah.
Worst submarine ever. I thought Betsy was just going to go for it, flash over the wall. PowerOfEvil has no flash. This should have been timed by Rocket. And it results in no play coming out. They just walk out, steal away the red buff. Oh, they don't steal away the red buff, but even still, I mean, they get some deep vision down. They can be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't lose anything.
He didn't lose anything when they could have been heavily punished.
I mean, sOAZ actually is finding it quite hard to clear super minions at 17 minutes into the game. A lonely level 9 Trundle does find it hard to kill supers. PowerOfEvil is back in the bot lane. He's split pushing. He's holding this wave against Betsy. And OG collapsing into this middle lane. Actually, Rocket doing that. And should be able to take up this tower. I mean, yeah, PowerOfEvil's in the bottom side. Main's going to disengage with the ultimate. Keeps the tower alive for now. Hybrid steps up to the tower as well. Blocks some skill shots. And PowerOfEvil will slither into the mid lane. Now he's going bot lane. Back to the farm.
What a fool. How could you think that he would leave the side lane?
He started to, but OG apparently have it. They have Braum there. They don't have another ultimate from Amazing now.
PowerOfEvil, is he taking the gamble? Well, it looks like sOAZ definitely is. I'm trying to defend this mid-tier 1, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it.
Nope, answer that question. That's the defensive ultimate coming in from Steelback. Parang will jump on top of Hybrid. PowerOfEvil does come into the fight, but doesn't land the ultimate on anybody. Is being chased down with Hybrid by his side, but the team cannot get back to him. 2-0. And Toaster charges up the ultimate, but does not want to be here. Has to flash away. Amazing recalling into the side. That's the risky TP of the day. But 2 fast kills to Rocket. Now they're pushing down the mid lane.
Origen tried to force a fight that they were in no position to win. They realized that the pressure from the top, they had to somehow answer, and instead of just giving away the tier 1 and focusing on wave clear, they end up going in for a fight that was, in all honesty, just an awful execution, simply because Amazing didn't have his ultimate. PowerOfEvil wasn't in a position to land the ult. And just look at the ultimates available right now. sOAZ isn't in a good position to flank. He can't get onto the backline. PowerOfEvil comes in, but a great knockup from Raze prevents him from actually being able to do anything. Spell shield from Steelback. Memento is just out of range of the ult, and then they can just quickly get the collapse down onto the flanking Cassiopeia. It's sOAZ that you really need to be flanking. And so with Hybrid down, with PowerOfEvil down as well, that's a big shutdown gold, as well as 2 turrets going in the favor of Rocket.
Got to commend Raze for playing that fight really well, knocking up PowerOfEvil right into the exhaust. But it was just a real weird flank from PowerOfEvil. Here comes a TP, Miasma right on top of it.
That was a terrible TP.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what Betsy was hoping to achieve with that. I guess he wanted to go for a flank, but they didn't realize that there was literally a whole jungle for Origen to walk through. But look at this. Inhibitor finally respawned for Origen. sOAZ is like, oh, thank God. No longer will I have to deal with super minions that are stronger than Shen.
Yep. He'll still stay up here for a little bit, keep this farm rolling. Honestly, Rocket have not had great TPs in this game. Parang's had 2 dodgy stun Uniteds. Betsy TP into the mid lane was not able to capitalize on anything, and they're trying to make plays, but none of them seem on the same page.
They weren't dodgy, Pulse. They were edgy.
Ah,
they were trying new things.
They were. And PowerOfEvil as well, trying new thing with that flank, but realized it didn't work. So
yeah, they're just edgy plays. They're, as Sifa would say, they're creating space.
Ah, I see. Well, PowerOfEvil, it's great that he was 5-0-0, but if your Cassiopeia instantly goes in and dies, then, I mean, all of that gold is down the drain, so... And next time, we'll see sOAZ going for the flank, and that's what we want.
They're just setting up for the great flip-flop. You know, when you come back, here we are, on the hunt.
Toaster, gonna cheese it.
Okay, so today I learned that Ghostblade gives the same attack speed. Oh, amazing.
Oh, amazing in with the engage. Long-range deadly flourish. Here comes the curtain call, lands onto Memento. Meanwhile, PowerOfEvil coming into the fight. Sanguine Paw coming out there from Betsy, following up with a Tide of Blood. Onto Hybrid, picks up that kill. sOAZ now coming in for the flank, but very late. Memento was caught up there, finishing him off with the Sunfire Cape. And Steelback will walk into the team. Now back away. He doesn't even have a Sunfire. Just looked at him and he killed over. Parang backing off, kind of went in. Not really sure what they're doing right now, but that was a 1-for-1 trade.
Gotta be honest, I was expecting PowerOfEvil to just come into that fight and kill everyone. But his damage was extremely underwhelming. A lot of magic resistance has been picked up for the side of Rocket, and without any penetration yet picked up for Power, just isn't having the same impact in these fights, especially when you consider what Betsy is doing on the backline with only a Spirit's Visage. This 5-1-1 Cassio is not looking as terrifying as she did in the early game.
Not quite. I mean, he's very well built. He's already got Rod of Ages and Seraph's Embrace, but it just can't seem to get the damage off. Then you can see Toaster
just keeping at exactly the same pace. Amazing goes to the engage onto Raze. Not the best target, but he was mindful of the fact that Steelback had the spell shield. Then Parang joins in on the front line, and PowerOfEvil just can't really deal the damage onto the front. sOAZ is going to pick up the kill with the subjugate down onto Memento. And then OG just forced to retreat because Steelback has been untouched, Betsy has been untouched. And this was one of the things that we didn't identify initially about OG, is if sOAZ doesn't get the successful flank off, and especially with a Janna as well, it becomes very difficult to get the collapse on. But forget about that, because OG, they're going for another decisive Baron.
These games are very confusing to me, Vedius.
They've got it.
Yeah, they've got, like, the Baron's just gonna go down. Are we watching game 1 here? Like, literally just go for the Baron, Memento over the wall, and so like, oh, well, I guess it's already gone. 22 minutes in, Origen secure another first Baron. I mean, you do it once, and you would assume Rocket would be wary of it in game 2.
So I guess it turns out that Baron is in fact a grass type, because that poison is super effective against him. Quickly gonna pick that one up, and Origen reclaim control over the gold lead. Only a small advantage, but still, this is gonna help them significantly with setting up the side lanes and dealing with the 1-3-1 setup that Rocket has going for them.
Yeah, the nice thing casting with you, Vedius, is because everyone thinks we sound identical, when you say something good, I was just like, yes, I said that. Oh, you said that? No, I said that. And no one will be able to tell the difference.
It's like that whole thing of, what is it like, your drawing?
Yep.
My drawing.
Exactly. That's how I live out my life.
And I have to make all my funny quotes, extremely British from now on.
No, you just have to copyright it. You just watermark it. You make the joke.
Watermark?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just put that on my...
2016.
Every time you hear my audio, there's a small man in the background going, "This belongs to Vedius."
Just a whisper. Yeah, that's what you need when you're casting with me. So I can't steal your content.
Pulse, you can have it. I'm saving the best for later. This is just a shade of my true self.
How
not even in my
how
final
many shades
form.
are there of Vedius?
I've got 3 evolutions.
Shades perhaps? Okay, not even final form. I'll hold you to that. Amazing. Off to the side. You just see split pushing Toaster.
Whoa
actually.
now, Toaster, why are you in the side lane? sOAZ has a TP. It's literally his job. It's in the description. sOAZ, split pusher, extraordinaire.
Yep.
But still, it's okay because PowerOfEvil holding his own in the mid. Toaster using those Baron minions to his advantage. That insane wave clear that you have on the Jhin.
Classic split push Jhin. Maybe probably the worst person to split push in that team outside of Hybrid.
They're going to get a turret,
got it, so actually
we
not bad
can't
at all. That was the
Casters are
perfect
wrong.
play. Yeah, proved us wrong. Origin, and they take the mid tower. I mean, they were just one step ahead. Steelback needs to back off. Always feel weird when I have to say back with Steelback, but yeah, he'll back away.
I thought you were just afraid of the words back off. So if I just turn to you, I'm like, hey, Pulse, back off. Ah! Whoa!
Triggered. But no, Origen are just doing the same as last game. Like, this is identical to what we saw last game. They take some towers. This time Betsy's going to try and come in for the engage with Parang on top of him, trying to get a range. Here comes the dash, but again, not landing on top of anybody. Re-engage in from Amazing Pillar. Will separate Betsy from the team into the Sanguine Pool. Now he'll back off to the tower. The Steelback, bit of damage onto sOAZ off to the side. Steelback flash onto Toaster, tries to pick up the kill. Has the shield on top of him. In from the Maw of Mount Mortius, and he'll swag walk away. Origen, just take a couple towers.
Good face of the mountain from Hybrid as well to give Toaster the extra added bit of health that he needed to get out of that sticky situation. But still, a lot of misplays from both sides in that fight. A lot of summoner spells burn that necessarily didn't have to be, and that could have gone very well for Origen, also very well for ROC if we hadn't seen a lot of individual misplays. Parang missing his taunt, PowerOfEvil not getting a good ultimate off, Toaster being a little bit overextended. He didn't even get an opportunity to use his ult, especially when Betsy was so low. Just many little misplays that you can start to see why these teams are sitting at the bottom of the table.
Yeah. It's so difficult to tell how like a fight's going to go, because you can say like they have 5 ultimates up right now, but maybe half of them will just end up missing, and then the fight will just swing the other way. The biggest thing out of this game is the fact that Origen just somehow snuck another Baron in Game 2 like he did in Game 1. And got an advantage off of that. So now they're 4,000 gold ahead, despite ROC pushing all the way in the top lane, getting so much global gold. Next round's going to be the Cloud Dragon. Origen already have one. So they're going to be speeding all over Summoner's Rift now.
I mean, yeah. I've beat that joke to death enough now. Unfortunately, enough Cloud Drakes haven't died for, I don't know where I was going.
Yeah. Abort mission.
Cloud Drake next.
It is 1 minute.
You already have 1. 2 will make them all the more faster. To be fair, the one advantage I would give is on Cassio, who doesn't build boots, and her base movement speed scales with level. You do get relatively quick with the additional, with more Cloud Drakes. I mean, that's it, Pulse, that's it.
3 is actually good. Like, 3 gives you a lot of
good.
movement speed. Like, you do actually notice the difference, but 1, not so much. 2, a little bit. Unfortunately, OG in vision there, as PowerOfEvil was clearing that ward over the wall.
2 is like a warm summer's night walk. Hey, this is somewhat pleasant, but it's not something that I would actively do in my free time.
What's 3 then? What would be
3 is like
adrenaline rush.
The thing is, I've never had 3 Cloud Drakes, Paul, so I can't tell you what it's like. I've had too many 2 Cloud Drakes where I've left feeling unsatisfied. You know, like three's the charm, but I was not charmed.
Well, there's a chance for 3 in this game, so Origen might pick up that Cloud Drake.
Unfortunately, there isn't Pulse, because 27. Oh wait, it's 28 and a half or 27 and a half? What?
Let's have a look. What's the next one? Ah, it's gonna be Ocean.
Ocean.
Ah, ruined.
Ruined.
You can really tell we are struggling here when we're talking about Cloud Dragons. We'll be the third Cloud Dragon. Riveting storyline.
Either this, or we try and figure out what type of Pokemon Jin is, right?
That's yeah. I literally have no idea.
It's because Pokemon don't have humans in them. There are too many humans in.
But there are some like human-looking Pokemon, like Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, like that type of thing. Well, Memento again looking for this engage. Betsy in with a flank as well. There's a good taunt to 3 players. And Origen are dropping like flies. 2 fast kills over to Roccat. Moving on to Amazing as well. PowerOfEvil only just turns into the team fight. He wasn't even here as Roccat came in for the engage. Flash out for Memento. He wants Amazing dead. PowerOfEvil, I mean, good petrifying engage, but there's no team there with him. He'll flash away, trying to kite Parang. And will manage to successfully get away, but 2 kills over to Roccat, defending their base.
And bear in mind, the Baron's going to be spawning in 15 seconds. If Roccat quickly go back to base, they can get the health that they need and make a swift move over to pick up that objective. They have the Ocean Drake giving them a surprising amount of sustain right now, but Origen caught with their pants down just a little bit. Parang finally lands a multi-man taunt, and that enables Betsy to dive onto the backline, get so much damage down. And when you combine that up with Steelback, who, having completed 3 major items, does so much damage with the ricochets, it resulted in a good teamfight win for Roccat. But they don't turn it into anything. They only get themselves a bit of vision control, but even then, OG swiftly returning to the Baron pit and reclaiming control over the river.
Still, we saw a good engage out from Roccat this time. Parang swapped the person he's putting the ultimate onto. It's just like, all right, Betsy, you failed me. I'm going to try Memento now. And to be fair, he got in range. I think he may have even repelled in there, just allowing Parang a perfect setup for a triple Shadow Dash. So Roccat have it in them. So maybe his engage has happened. Just unfortunately couldn't really capitalize on anything. Flash pillar from sOAZ, cutting off Raze. So much damage in from the chump. PowerOfEvil completely whiffing the ultimate though. Toaster opening up with the curtain call, and he lands a couple shots. Memento backing away. Meanwhile, Steelback goes down, but trades his life for PowerOfEvil. Shut down for Amazing there. The fight will carry on and ensue. Betsy knocked off to the side and will just instantly go down to Toaster. Didn't have the Sanguine Pool left. And Parang now caught right in the middle of OG with no team members to help him. Big crit for Toaster, double kill for Jin. 3-1, and OG turned the sights towards Baron.
And who would have thought that it would be sOAZ acting as the main initiator for Origen? He goes to the flash, he locks down the Janna, and then things just start to snowball from there. Big misplay from Power, missing the ultimate, but he did his job. Now, the question is, can Roccat steal away the Baron, or will Origen secure this one for themselves?
Memento is going to be the 50-50, but sOAZ is zoning him away. Troll is running after the spider here. There's the pillar, walking right into Toaster as well. There's a lot of damage coming up. Repel, Amazing is trapped in a pit by himself though, to assist with the kill. Another kill to Toaster, but that will stop Origen from taking the Baron.
That's fine from Memento. He gives away his life in order to deny the Baron from Origen, and I think that Roccat can be pretty happy with that overall. Have a look at this engagement. sOAZ flashes in, pillar onto Raze. Not typically the target that you want to be focusing down. PowerOfEvil, such a preemptive ultimate, misplaying massively. He's able to get enough damage down though onto Steelback, not only forcing his summoner spells, but enables them to get the kill. And with him gone, and Toaster still at full health, he can just sit at the back line, go for the 1v2 for Betsy, which enables them to get the kill onto him. No more damage is available left onto Roccat, and so they can clean up the fight. They wanted to move around to the Baron, they wanted to try and get it, but then thanks to Memento and his efforts, it results in no objective for Origen.
The play that Roccat needed, and a really nice one from Memento, but again Origen is going to start the Baron again. There's Parang on the bottom side, he has Stand United, so may try and get involved, and the rest of Roccat are immediately there. Toaster steps out of the pit and will get Shadow Dash shut down in for Parang, and everyone's fighting around the Baron. Hasn't gone down just yet. Betsy regrouping with the team, and sOAZ forced to back off. Roccat will secure the Baron. sOAZ has to limp away. A kill onto Toaster as well. That was horrific.
Why, Origen, why did you have to force that Baron? You were not in a position to do that. There were so many ways for Roccat to get that collapse, and who fights in a Baron pit against a Vladimir? You're asking him to get that multi-man ult off. Look at the positioning of Toaster. He doesn't have the peel. Steelback gets so many crits off onto him. That enables Betsy to go in for the flash, get the kill, and then with him gone, PowerOfEvil is the only damage dealer left. He's forced to retreat because he's scared of the Baron, he's scared of the collapse, and then with Origen pushed out of the pit, ROCCAT can turn their attention to the objective of hand. They pick that one up, and now all of a sudden this game has swung back in the favor of ROCCAT.
That was absolutely huge as well. I mean, Toaster stepping out of the pit, taking that down from Steelback, like there was no reality in which that was going to go well. Origen now forced into their base, and ROCCAT with the upper hand is on the hunt onto Amazing, but he's again just going to walk away. But ROCCAT will keep up the pressure in the mid lane. They have this Baron now. sOAZ is in his natural habitat bot lane, but may need to help out as mid is being sieged in.
And now that the ultimate is gone for Amazing, PowerOfEvil gets locked up.
Flash dash to PowerOfEvil. Toaster dropping low. Hybrid as well getting run down by Parang. And sOAZ does TP, but in so slowly and so late. The Hybrid's already dead. Double kill in for Steelback. And Toaster, I mean, there's no one even in range for his curtain call. Actually, no, he hits a couple, but it's not going to deter ROCCAT. They just have to wait for the mini-wave. However, sOAZ has cut off the mini-wave, so they're trapped inside the base. They'll have to go for this inhibitor in the top lane that was opened up as a consolation prize. They'll be fine with that, and it will back away.
Fair play to sOAZ. Quick thinking to prevent ROCCAT from being able to close out the game right there. Denying the minion waves, having all three lanes pushed towards ROCCAT's base means that sOAZ is going to quickly transition over to the Dragon and pick up the 5th Drake of the game.
Maybe over to Origen. Amazing's going to head down with Toaster, but ROCCAT are potentially in range to maybe steal this.
Oh no,
They have all of the vision.
Are you going to throw again? At an objective. Memento is here. There's the Shen ult.
Repel over the wall. They didn't drag the Dragon out. Memento with the smite steal. Amazing being chased down, and this is just complete shambles from Origen, getting collapsed in from the side. The flank in from Raze. Parang on the front lines. He may need to back away. Miasma will keep him in place. Steelback. There's a good ultimate in from PowerOfEvil. They'll find one kill. The second. Betsy goes down into the pool. I will have to buy some more time. sOAZ chasing after Memento. Meanwhile, Betsy got a lot of health back, but it's not going to be enough. Dual kill for PowerOfEvil. Memento jumping away to safety using Repel. 3-0 to Origen.
They force ROCCAT into a choke point, which is the ideal place for a Cassiopeia to fight. Power, because he was dead, got to the fight at a later stage, which means that none of the focus was ROCCAT onto him. It was all down onto Amazing and Hybrid. These are the big tanky frontliners, and this means that now Origen, with a big teamfight win, could finally break into the base of ROCCAT.
It's definitely a possibility. They have this big minion wave in the mid lane. PowerOfEvil zoning away with Miasma and the poison. Middle tower's already dead. Moving on to the inhibitor. Origen still 5-man strong. Amazing going to join the pack now. Betsy is still 10 seconds away from the respawn, but they got what they came for. Origen with this inhibitor down as well.
Fantastic turnaround from Origen. We talked about the potential of the flippity flop, and there it is, my friend.
The flip-flop in
It's coming in from both sides. ROCCAT doing the flippity-flop with getting themselves the Baron, and then Origen doing the same thing right there. After losing the Baron, they force ROCCAT into that choke, and that's just heaven for the Cassio. Not only that, we have to give credit. Hopefully we can get a quick replay of just PowerOfEvil's ultimate there, because didn't notice it in the actual fight, but he gets the ult down onto both Betsy and Steelback. So notice here, PowerOfEvil late to the fight. sOAZ and Amazing on the front line. Toaster and Hybrid unharmed for the time being. Here comes PowerOfEvil, all of them grouped up, and then Betsy and Steelback just look into the eyes of death at just the wrong moment, which buys enough time for Amazing to come over the wall, land the CC. 2 of the damage dealers are gone for ROCCAT, and that enables a double kill for PowerOfEvil.
Betsy did buy a bit of time, but unfortunately his team was already dead. And yeah, he kind of hit the nail on the head there with PowerOfEvil. It was just walking into his crosshairs, really. Like, just walking right into a choke point. Just had to click R, and then good team fight for Origen once again. This game is so back and forth, but it feels like it's from the mistakes of the other team, kind of just handing a fight to their opponents. And there's not a lot of, like, catalyzation, I feel. Like, Origen, they did make the proactive play onto Baron, but when it comes to these fights, it's just all over the place.
But ROCCAT are still the team that are pushing right now. They feel like they have the stronger team fight. As long as they don't find these choke points once more, then PowerOfEvil can't be as effective. We've seen multiple times the fights in mid, the fights around Baron, where PowerOfEvil in these big open areas can't land those ults, can't use the miasma to control. The fights typically go in the favor of ROC because Betsy, he can just use his power to just glide through the enemy ranks and get onto Toaster, get onto Power. And that's the ideal situation for ROC. But in all honesty, they haven't been able to properly utilize this 1-3-1 other than that one mid-game fight where PowerOfEvil, he joined the fight so late due to the teleport advantage that Betsy had. And now that they have lost their middle inhibitor, they can keep the Vlad in the mid, they can put the Shen up in the top lane, and they can have 3 members strong in the bottom half of the map to just keep applying pressure for OG to stall things out until their inhibitor respawns. But I mean, what a messy game, Pulse.
Yeah,
Origin
you could
had
see that from
control.
the swings and gold as well, from we just saw from that graph. Like, it's really just been back and forth in these fights, and then objectives being picked up off of that.
Just flippity flops everywhere,
Flippity flops all over the place. That is the name of the game, that is. Next dragon will be the Elder Dragon, so that'll be something to fight over. Another 40 seconds until Baron, so again, like, it's just 50-50. Like, how can you call a fight, like, who's gonna win it right now? Because it's always down to, like, a mechanical misstep mid-fight, I feel.
Well, Steelback still with a very impressive scoreline, 6-2-3, even after the struggles that his team has faced.
Yeah.
Could be the big turning factor. His positioning will be very important. And the amount of damage his ricochets will do, but hang on, look at Amazing. May have been caught out. Ooh, very close from Hybrid to get out of that one. But yeah, keep your eyes on Steelback in these next few fights, because he could be a big determining factor. But then the same goes for PowerOfEvil. Can he land that big ult? Can he get the miasma down to prevent people from flashing away?
PowerOfEvil still very strong. I mean, like, he's building towards his 6th.
Here we go.
40 minutes in. ROC are going to start off the Baron. Origen will need to respond, but they are very slow in doing so. Hybrid's going to step up, but Amazing trying to get in range. Knocked up by the Tornado. Toast with the steal. Amazing with the steal instead. Memento has to take the walk of shame into this fight. He'll flash over, get a nice cocoon onto Hybrid, and conveniently knocked towards him by Amazing, but they can't pick up a kill. In return, PowerOfEvil trying to get in range, opening over the curtain call onto Raze. Memento goes down. Big kill for Toaster.
Pulse, we said it earlier on, when you have a numbers advantage and you set it for the Baron, this is known as the oops, I did it again. And ROC just, they oopsed all over the shop.
Yes,
giving away
full
the steal
circle.
to Amazing. The flash smite is exactly what OG needed. And oh my word, now with the 5 members strong in the bottom lane, with the Baron empowered minions, with Memento dead, surely this is going to be game for Origen.
You'd have to think so, Vedius. Origen seeding his bottom tower. It died so fast. Betsy caught out here with Parang. He'll back away. He's still very tanky. Amazing being that frontline Origen need. Meanwhile, PowerOfEvil and Toaster hammering away at this inhib. Good mock-up in from Raze. Forces the whole backline away from Origen. Betsy jumps into the team, goes into the Sanguine Pool. Parang needs to back up, but sOAZ needs to rejoin his team, who have already decided they want to be here. Parang didn't even drop. So after all of that, they got the tower, but no inhib.
Origen, please. You have Baron. You have the numbers advantage. You have so many tools in your kit to easily take down these objectives, and still you fail to do so. Slide over commitments, slide over steps, result in a lot of damage being dealt to both PowerOfEvil and Toaster, forces them away, but still have a look at Amazing. Looking for a pick on the Memento.
Memento just walks right into the bush. Did have the Banshee's Veil, so it's okay. Elder Dragon will be the next point of contention. Toaster speeding off the spawn pad. Going back to his team. Parang, both TPs ready for him. And it's just about the vision right now, and Origen have control over that area. ROC are going to play around the mid lane here. Still staying in response range for this potential dragon take from Origen. Gonna pop the on the hunt, but I'm not really sure about that. Explain, Benny.
I guess ROCAT felt like that Origen were going to go for a fight. They didn't. And they just used it as a disengage tool. I honestly don't know, because now without that,
ran
that
too
just
far
makes
away.
away the Elder Drake.
Why did they run so far away? Origen will just take the dragon. And now Origen have a big advantage with the Elder Dragon now. I'm really confused.
Oh boy.
Okay, so if Origen should be able to close now with the Baron buff and the Elder Dragon. Pushing down into this bottom lane. I just can't fathom what Rocket were thinking. They disengaged. It's like, okay, we burnt the Sivir ultimate, that's fine. We'll still stay around the area to try and contest, but they just ran away and took Raptors.
Well, in all honesty, Pulse, the only thing that Rocket can really do right now is run away, because Origen, they're just, with the Baron, with the Elder Dragon, are sieging into the base of Rocket. They're going to cleanly take this inhibitor. They can rotate round to the mid and replicate the same process. And meanwhile, sOAZ, he's just sitting in the top lane going absolutely crazy on this Trundle.
He is. A moderate amount of crazy, I would say. He's not doing a lot of damage to Parang. Origen are still sieging down the middle lane. They have these 2 massive buffs, but they're playing it safe. Steelback pinned in place. And now they just need to take this inhibitor. Just poking away with Toaster. Max range. That Ricochet, though. Half helps Toaster and PowerOfEvil. Rocket
Look at him go! Oh,
chance to go in. Big crit onto Toaster. He goes down. Hybrid also caught up in the Shadow Dash. And Parang secures that kill for Steelback. 2-0.
We talked about how Steelback could be the turning factor for Rocket. He just gets the Ricochet. He flashes in so aggressively. Unbelievable play from Steelback. My word, I cannot believe the Rocket may very well be able to turn this game around off the back of a single player.
That was insane. sOAZ is still pushing up the top side, but there's only 2 people to defend the base. Amazing. sOAZ trying to recall, but needs to be in the mid lane. PowerOfEvil going back to base. There's the TP in from sOAZ. Betsy doesn't have any way of interrupting this, so he'll be here for the defense. But Rocket now on the front door. Here comes the TP from Betsy. And buying more time for them to take the tower. They're moving on to the inhib. Amazing with the ultimate, knocking Parang in range of PowerOfEvil. Could have been a little bit dicey, but Rocket will be very happy to take this inhibitor. There's still an exposed inhibitor in topside, so they'll probably try and take this one as well. But the respawns from Origen, they have to be very careful. Maybe overstepping their mark. Memento pins in place. Curtain call comes up. Amazing. Off to the side there. sOAZ getting into the fight. Steelback's on the front lines. There's the ultimate from PowerOfEvil. And the rest of Rocket have to scatter Parang into the Guardian Angel. Betsy goes golden, but he has to run away as well. Crits raining down from Toaster. sOAZ following up as well. And the concussive blows will keep him in place. Meanwhile, Parang as well under the same fate. Hybrid keeping him in place for the rest of the team to follow up. Toaster comes in. Deadly Flourish. Gonna buy some time with the Spirit's Refuge, but Toaster finds another kill. 3-1 trade for Origen. Memento going toe-to-toe with Amazing. But this 1v1 trade is going to take a while.
So Steelback using his flash so aggressively earlier on resulted in his demise after OG get the turnaround fight. Amazing's ultimate has just come back up, but look at sOAZ, look at Toaster. They don't even care about this fight because they just want this game to end. Memento's gonna fall. 11 seconds on Steelback. This might not even be game. Origen, they're just gonna have to take the inhibitor and they're just gonna have to back away.
Unfortunately, there's no minions in the mid lane. There is in the bottom lane. Toaster and sOAZ are here. sOAZ is low on mana, and Steelback has just respawned, so you can kiss that minion wave goodbye. I'll be dropping instantly. There's super minions on the Nexus turrets for OG, so PowerOfEvil are going to respawn and deal with that pest problem. And with Baron 40 seconds away, Vedas, they will disengage, and we will wait for Baron.
So keep your eyes on PowerOfEvil once again. Memento takes a big chunk of the damage initially. Good miasma out from PowerOfEvil to zone Rocket into a choke point, and then PowerOfEvil, big ultimate onto 3. Steelback gets locked up, and then combined with sOAZ, they get the kill down onto him. One of the biggest damage dealers for Rocket ends up dropping, and then Betsy being left to his own demise off the back of Toaster just hiding behind the wall, and then they just continue to clean up the fight. PowerOfEvil has had some clutch team fights in this game, but in all honesty, it just comes down to the fact that Steelback, yes, that flash could have won your team the game, but at the same time, if you'd had it there, you may have been able to escape and turn that fight to your team.
Oh, Origen pulling the trigger on top of the Baron, and they will take this uncontested. Rocket were not able to get anywhere near. They were waiting around the corner, seeing if sOAZ will come into this mid lane. Cocoon lands on top of him. He's completely split from the team. With a flash over the wall and the pillar, he disengages. And no dice from Rocket. They're barreling down the mid lane.
Oh my word.
Looking just to try and go for this Hail Mary play. But they've got the recalls out from Origen. They're going to meet them.
Pushing Toaster once again. He's been doing it all game, and now Steelback taking a bit of damage. But with PowerOfEvil, they should have enough wave clear. Can Toaster be the hero that OG need?
Maybe. I mean, Parang's on the bottom side. He's going to TP to the top lane. Insane action coming out here. Toaster should be able to finish off the tower. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Amazing goes a little too far forwards. We use the disengage ultimate. PowerOfEvil steps up, Miasma comes down, Memento will have to back away. Betsy uses the Hemo Plague very early. Yes, he gets a lot of health back, but that's not going to be down for, or not going to be up for the next fight.
Toaster.
Curtain call, Steelback. He's got the Parang ultimate on top, and Parang comes into the fight. He's immediately slowed down. Torn onto sOAZ, not the ideal target. Glacial Fissure up from Hybrid, and that'll be the disengage.
Both teams really afraid to hard commit. PowerOfEvil did take a lot of damage, but he is just going to quickly back away, and this game continues to be so back and forth. We're at a point in the game, Pulse, where gold just does not matter. So many people have so many completed builds. PowerOfEvil has finished his 6th item, and even still, 11k gold in Origen's pocket, and they have not been able to close out this game.
I mean, honestly, when we're in a game like this, Freddy, it's 48 minutes in, about to hit the 49-minute horizon, that I'm just reminded of challenges. So many of our games have gone like this. And with these teams at the bottom of the table, they're probably going to be facing some of those teams. And you have to start questioning, like, will they actually be able to outclass the top of Challenger?
I mean, when I think of Misfits, I think that they would crush both these teams right now.
As they're playing in this game.
In all honesty, I don't even think Misfits have had a game go this long. But still, that's a long way to go. There are plenty of opportunities for both these teams to come back.
Yeah.
But big question marks are being held to the side of Origen. Even with the introduction of their new AD carry, it still seems that Origen have some of their issues remaining.
I mean, it's so important for Origen to actually finish out this game and get the 2-0. A 1-1, as Josh was saying on the analyst desk, is a loss for both teams, essentially. Not getting anywhere closer to their goal of getting out of the relegation zone. At the very least, claiming 7th place. And slowly but surely, Origen push into the base.
Here we go.
Last minute engage from Rocket. Will it be enough? Parang coming in here. Memento as well onto sOAZ. He's so tanky. Memento down into the Guardian Angel. Betsy cut off to the side. Will need to go into the pool. Parang as well. Toaster dropping low, but he'll take out Steelback this time around. Parang jumping onto the back line's not going to be enough. Betsy jumps in. All this lifesteal is keeping him alive. Parang with the TP and the shielding, not going to be quite enough. Curtain Call comes in, finishing him off with the final blow. 2-1 trade for Origen, camping on top of Parang as well. Should be able to find his 3rd kill. Toaster with the kill. 8-3 and 5 in this game, and Origen, with all of these minions here to help them out, will finally be able to finish off of that big fight for them. Onto the Nexus, and Origen, after a grueling 2-game series, will find a 2-0 over Rocket.
Congratulations to Origen, who, after what looked like